channel for your weekly reading. I'm kind of shuffling through different kinds of decks. This week I'm going to use one you've probably never seen before called the Qi Vesta. So let's go ahead and begin by clearing the decks and clearing the energy of the space. And clearing my throat. Okay, clearing previous readings and asking Spirit to be present here to help us interpret the messages coming for our Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or wherever you feel Leo in your reality. Leo is naturally the fifth house for all of us. Of course, that's its natural place. For you, your fifth house might be ruled by some other sign, but you still have that Leo energy that means that it represents our life force. So wherever Leo is falling in your chart, that is where you glean life force energy from. And this could speak to that for you today. So I've got 4 decks that make up the Qi Vesta. They all have a wheel of some kind on them. These were brought through by my teacher, Almine, my alchemy teacher. Beautiful. It's like they were revived from a Lemurian time, it seems. So I'm going to pull one from each deck to represent physical, mental, emotional, spiritual advice for you Leos. And we will begin with the physical. So whatever's going on physically for Leos, let's get some insight into this week. Whenever you're finding this week's energy for you. Leo, what is going to most support Leo this week? I think this card is a little bit bent. So it likes to pop out. Let's see if we can see if it is going to pop out for sure. Okay, that's a different one. All right. These are tricky homemade cards. This is Freedom's Release, card 32. Interesting little picture there. 32 would be a 5 in numerology. 5s are indicative of change. So something might be up for change in your physical environment. And freedom's release, I mean, that could talk to something physically being released, whether it's you're clearing clutter or there's someone going out of your world or you're finally leaving a job. This is all on the physical plane, this first deck. Freedom's release. The Lemurian is Kersetu Misanet Alestu, if you do Lemurian. I'm seeing something very like primal, ancient here. And this almost looks like he's praying. And to me, this looks like a puddle and then some animals coming in. Freedom's release. I'm not really sure. Maybe you've got an insight on that. Here's the deeper concept though. And here's how we go a little bit deeper with this card. It says, no one is truly free who wears the mask of identity. He becomes a puppet in the hands of others. These are deeper cards. These are attuning to the oneness field. This is very crown chakra activating information. So, and again, this is a general reading. So take the pieces of this that are resonating with you. No one's truly free who wears the mask of identity. So again, like, of course we have an identity, but is that our true essence? This card is speaking to the freedom maybe to express who you truly are beyond masks, Leo. Leo, you're the sign of like, you are the performer, right? You're the child of the zodiac, the one who ought to feel the most confident in expressing, but sometimes we do allow those masks to like cover who we truly are. And this usually comes from social conditioning or upbringing or other people's opinions or societal imprints. Becoming a puppet in the hands of others, you might ask, like, who am I performing for? Is it for myself or am I doing this for someone else? Am I wearing a mask for someone else in my life? The card this week is saying, in your reality, time to take that off, time to show who you really are. You will experience freedom's release when you let that go. Okay, let's go to the mental component for Leos this week. I find that doing so many different cards in a reading can be sometimes too complicated and too much information and complex. So I'm just going to play around with focusing on a deck each week and seeing what we get out of it. And I might combine two. But as I'm watching other readers online, I'm like, oh, I want want to do this a little bit different. Try some of these new different decks that people haven't heard of. So mentally for the Leos this week, we get card 30 of the Hanawa. 30 is, of course, a 3, speaking to the Trinity, Father, Mother, Child, the 1, 2, 3. To me, that's always 3 makes a portal, an opening into something new. And the concept is assistance from the unseen for Leo. So the Lemurian is Salva Sut Krihaves Atar. Some say Lemuria was the original place of the Garden of Eden, so maybe that speaks to some origin point in you. And the deeper concept here on the mental plane for you, Leo, is when loved ones succumb to death, we may not be able to communicate between realms, but we can within the oneness of our being. Death cannot separate that. So for some of you, someone has passed and you feel separated maybe from them, but there is some communication trying to come through and there is assistance being offered you. So if you can kind of release your mental concepts around that and be open to that, there could be some inspiration or communication from beyond. And assistance from the unseen can also mean like also to get out of your head and accept that some things show up kind of miraculously without really being able to comprehend where it's coming from, and accept that there is an unseen power moving through your life, Leo, this week that wants to be heard. The messages want to come through. So let's pull a card for the emotional body for Leos. What's going to best support the emotions for Leos this week? And our emotions ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is in Mars this week, so it's a tricky place. Well, more than this week. Cancer's in Mars for quite a few months, so that might cause some interesting emotions. There is 2 coming up here for you, Leos. Card 31 and 35, so that's a 4 and an 8. 4 and 8. So there's something about doubling the structure. First one is release yesterday's truth. Okay, this is about your emotional self, okay? Hesetrech Michel Navet. Release yesterday's truth. Here's the imagery. Looks like some sort of defrag. I don't know. What do you see there? It says, the fear of making mistakes, coupled with the realization that life is unknowable, causes man to cling to fragments of yesterday's truth. It is in self-trust as the one being that we release the obsolete. Okay, and this is speaking to emotions, so there may be some emotions you've been holding on to out of like fear of the unknown, like what you don't know, how this emotional connection's going to go, you don't know how this relationship's going to go, and maybe you're holding on to past feelings, past, fears of mistakes from previous relationships maybe. So, and life is essentially unknowable and that no one really knows. We might get glimpses, but we're walking into everything brand new, right? So trust is required. Trusting yourself is being asked of you today, to trust yourself as you release those fears of emotional uncertainties from your past. Let's see what the second card says. There are no gains or losses. Velspa retklat sferarus. There are no gains or losses. This says, the ocean of consciousness that each one is does not bemoan its losses or rejoice its gains. In its fullness, the ocean ebbs and flows in an endless expression of itself. To me, this speaks to resilience and like the Buddhist path of the middle path. There's always going to be fluctuations on the path. You lose something, you gain something, but life is always working to balance it out. So this may be speaking to, rather than woe is me, I lost this, or I'm so excited, I got this. This causes further fluctuations in the field. And so that doesn't mean to not be happy about something, but let yourself feel the sadness and return to center. Let yourself feel the joy, return to center. And it is in that equanimity, in that center point, that we can feel peace, right? And we can release yesterday's truth, and we can each moment move with the changes. So emotionally speaking, you know, in our most masterful state, as best you can this week, Leo, try to recognize life is always attempting to balance itself out. And so it is our emotional responses to things that keep us going high, low, high, low, high, low. And so that's why I teach and practice yogic methods, because by bringing an awareness to the third eye, this might be helpful to you. And that's just like bringing awareness to it. So you can gaze up there, you can breathe up there, you can visualize, you can use the sound Om. And doing this allows a certain level of detachment to observe your life and recognize, you know, gains and losses, ups and downs, sadnesses and joys, they're all part of the experience of life, right? We actually wanted to experience this ebb and flow. The ocean does not bemoan when it has a wave or no wave. It just simply is experiencing all the ways that the ocean can feel, right? So in the ocean of consciousness that you are, Leo, you are an ocean of consciousness. You have access to all emotions. So allow yourself to move through them this week with as much equanimity as possible and gratitude, and releasing the past way that you used to navigate emotions. Maybe you're moving here through an unseen portal, perhaps, and you've experienced some release in your physical realm by doing that. Okay, let's go to the spiritual advice. There's a bit of spiritual advice in all of these, but on a spiritual level, what does Leo need to know, or what is the concept that's going to be most supportive? Okay, we'll take that last one that came out. Listen to the silent whispers, card 24. Pru bares misetu havenes. Listen to the silent whispers. Does that sound creepy? Listen to the silent whispers. The concept is the one who speaks cannot listen. Life whispers its mysteries into the ear of one who listens in silence. So it does really feel like meditation is in order, Leo, this week, to be in stillness at least a little bit each day, to listen to what the guidance is for you. And that's where maybe some assistance from the unseen is wanting to come in as well. So take some time to do that. That is your weekly advice from Spirit and through this Life Force Oracle. So I appreciate you being here. I'll bring you out. I love you, and I hope you check out all the other content on this channel, doing a great Divine Union series, the Tarot archetypes, as well as a lot of practices here to serve you. And I'll see you next time. Please subscribe, like, and thank you for being here.